Emily was a 12-year-old girl with bright eyes and curly brown hair. She loved reading books and drawing pictures, but lately things had changed. It was the first day of a new school year, and Emily stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her school uniform. Her stomach felt tight, and her hands were a little sweaty. What if the new subjects are too hard, she thought. What if I can't make any friends? At breakfast, her mum smiled and placed a plate of pancakes in front of her. "Excited for your first day, sweetie?" Emily forced a small smile. "Yeah, I guess." On the way to school, Emily sat quietly in the car, looking out the window. Her little brother Jake was talking excitedly about seeing his friends again. Emily wished she could feel the same way. When she arrived at school, she saw groups of students laughing and chatting in the hallway. She took a deep breath and walked toward her classroom. The teacher, Mrs. Parker, welcomed everyone with a warm smile. "Good morning, class. I hope you had a great summer." Emily sat at her desk and looked around. Some students were talking to their friends, but she didn't know who to talk to. She felt a little lonely. As the day went on, Emily found the lessons difficult. Math was confusing, and science had too many new words. During lunch, she sat alone, picking at her food. Her heart felt heavy. That night she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Usually she liked to listen to music or read before sleeping, but now she didn't feel like doing anything. Even drawing, her favorite hobby, didn't seem fun anymore. She turned to her side and sighed. "Why do I feel this way?" she wondered. "Why does everything seem so hard this year?" Emily's parents soon noticed that something was different about her. She used to be a cheerful and talkative girl, always excited to share stories about her day. But now she was quiet, spending more time alone in her room. At dinner, Emily barely touched her food. She moved her fork around her plate, but she wasn't really eating. "Are you feeling okay, sweetheart?" her mum asked gently. Emily nodded without looking up. "I'm fine," she mumbled. Her dad exchanged a worried glance with her mum. This wasn't like Emily at all. She usually loved spaghetti night, but now she didn't seem interested. Over the next few days, they noticed more changes. Emily seemed tired in the mornings, with dark circles under her eyes. She was easily irritated, snapping at her little brother for small things. When her mom asked if she wanted to go to the park or watch a movie together, Emily just shook her head. One evening, as Emily sat on the couch staring at her phone, her mom and dad sat beside her. "Emily, we've noticed that you're not yourself lately," her dad said in a calm voice. "You don't talk much, and you don't seem happy. Is something bothering you?" Emily hesitated. She wanted to say she was fine, but the words wouldn't come out. Her chest felt tight, and suddenly she felt like crying. Her mom placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "It's okay, sweetheart. You can talk to us. We're here for you." Emily took a deep breath. "I don't know. School feels really hard this year. I feel like I don't understand anything in class. And I don't have any friends." Her parents listened carefully. They didn't interrupt or tell her everything would be fine right away. They just let her talk. After a moment, her dad nodded. "That sounds really tough. I'm sorry you're feeling this way, but you're not alone, Emily. We'll figure this out together." Her mum gave her a reassuring smile. "Maybe we can find ways to make things easier for you. Would you like to talk to your teacher about your classes? Or maybe we can do something fun together this weekend, just to relax." Emily thought for a moment. She still felt worried, but a small part of her was relieved. At least now she didn't have to keep everything inside. "Maybe," she said softly. Her parents smiled. They didn't have all the answers yet, but they knew one thing. They would be there for her, no matter what. Emily's parents were relieved that she had opened up to them, but they were still worried. She wasn't sleeping well, and she often seemed lost in thought. Even when she tried to smile, it didn't reach her eyes. One evening, after Emily had gone to bed, her parents sat at the kitchen table. I think we should talk to someone who can help, her mum said. She's been feeling this way for weeks. I don't want her to struggle alone. Her dad nodded. I agree. Maybe a professional can help us understand what she's going through. The next day, Emily's mum made an appointment with Dr. Bennett, a children's psychologist. When she told Emily about it, Emily hesitated. Do I really need to go? She asked. I'm not sick. Her mom gave her a gentle smile. I know, sweetheart, but sometimes when we feel worried or sad, talking to someone who understands can really help. A few days later, they arrived at Dr. Bennett's office. It was a cozy room with soft chairs, colorful paintings, and a bookshelf filled with storybooks and puzzles. Dr. Bennett was a kind-looking woman with glasses and a warm smile. Hi, Emily, she said. Your parents told me a little about how you've been feeling. Would you like to tell me more? Emily hesitated at first, but Dr. Bennett's calm voice made her feel safe. She slowly began to talk about school, her worries, and how she didn't feel like herself anymore. Dr. Bennett listened carefully. Emily, it sounds like you've been feeling a lot of stress and anxiety. That's completely okay. It happens to many kids. But the good news is, there are ways to help you feel better. Emily's parents also joined the conversation. Dr. Bennett explained that anxiety could make everyday things, like school and friendships, feel overwhelming. She taught them some simple ways to help Emily cope, such as taking deep breaths when she felt anxious, writing in a journal to express her thoughts, creating a bedtime routine to help her sleep better, limiting time on social media to avoid extra stress. Most importantly, she reminded them that talking about feelings was a good thing. As they left the office, Emily felt lighter. She wasn't completely better yet, but for the first time in a while, she felt hope. Maybe, just maybe, things could get easier. After visiting Dr. Bennett, Emily and her parents decided to follow her advice. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they wanted to help Emily feel better. The first thing they did was set a bedtime routine. Instead of scrolling through her phone late at night, Emily started reading a book before bed. Her parents also encouraged her to take deep breaths whenever she felt nervous. One evening after dinner, Emily sat on the couch with her mom. Let's try the deep breathing exercise, Doctor. Bennett taught us, her mom said. It might help you feel calm. Emily nodded. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3. Then slowly let it out. They did this a few times, and to her surprise, she felt a little better. The next challenge was social media. Emily used to spend hours on her phone, comparing herself to others. Seeing pictures of classmates having fun made her feel even more alone. Her dad suggested a change. How about we set a phone-free time in the evening? We can play a board game, go for a walk, or just talk. Emily wasn't sure at first, but she agreed to try. At first it was hard. She kept reaching for her phone, but slowly she started enjoying the quiet moments. One Saturday, instead of staying in her room, she went outside with her family. They went to the park, had ice cream, and even played a game of frisbee. That night, as Emily lay in bed, she realized something. The day had been fun. Not perfect, but better. Maybe small steps could make a big difference. Her parents smiled as they tucked her in. We're proud of you, Emily, her mom said. You're doing great. Emily still had tough days, but now she knew she wasn't alone. And that made all the difference. Weeks passed, and little by little, Emily started to feel like herself again. She wasn't completely free from worry. Some days were still hard, but now she had ways to handle her feelings. When she felt nervous before a test, she took deep breaths. When negative thoughts filled her mind, she wrote them down in her journal. And when she felt overwhelmed, she reminded herself to take one step at a time. One afternoon, her mom walked past her room and stopped in surprise. Emily was sitting at her desk, drawing. It had been weeks since she had picked up her sketchbook. Her mom smiled. "That looks beautiful, sweetheart. I missed seeing you draw." Emily looked up and smiled back. "I missed it too." At school, things also started to change. She wasn't suddenly the most confident student, but she tried to talk to her classmates more. One day, when a girl named Sophie sat next to her at lunch, Emily took a deep breath and said, "Hi." To her surprise, Sophie smiled and started a conversation. That evening, Emily excitedly told her parents about her new friend. Her dad gave her a high five. "That's amazing! See? You're doing great." Her parents had also learned a lot. They now understood that listening was just as important as giving advice. They made sure Emily felt safe talking about her feelings, without fear of being judged. One weekend, the whole family went to the beach. As Emily ran toward the water, feeling the warm sand under her feet, she laughed, a real happy laugh. Her mom watched from a distance, her heart full of relief. Emily had faced her fears, and she was getting stronger every day. As the sun set, Emily sat beside her parents and Jake, watching the waves. "I'm really glad we came," she said softly. Her mum squeezed her hand. "We are too, sweetheart." Emily still had ups and downs, but now she knew, no matter what happened, she had people who loved her, supported her, and believed in her. And that made all the difference.